right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. I'm Lucy Chen, and I'm the marketing director here at ZMark. And we're very lucky to have two fluid connector specialists with us today for today's training. So we have Daphne Kai, who is a Fluid Connectors Territory Manager for Parker Hannifin, and we also have Juan Gerardo, who is the Fluid Connectors Product Manager at ZMark. They both know the ins and outs of hose fittings and other connector products that you use every day. So if you have any questions for our trainers throughout the training, please enter them into the question boxes on the left-hand side. You should see them on your settings right there. We also have some giveaways today, so please make sure you stay till the end of the training to go through the raffle. We have some hats, stainless steel insulated water bottles, sling backpacks, and some more for our goodie bag. But before we get started, I'm going to give you a background on ZMark and also have some product updates as well. So ZMark is a fluid power distributor providing industry-leading fluid power solutions like pumps, cylinders, motors, valves, accumulators, and of course, fluid connectors. We also have 4 locations across California. So that includes Los Angeles, Oxnard, which is out in the Ventura area. We also have Fresno and Hayward in the Bay Area. We also have representation in Arizona to support anyone that needs assistance there. Los Angeles and Oxnard are our 2 Parker stores, and we do have hydraulic service center in LA and Fresno, and our test bench can support up to 100 horsepower. And just to let you know, we are an authorized distributor and service center for Parker Hannifin, Enerpac, Lincoln SKF, Delta MTS, and a lot of other fluid power products that you may have heard of. We do offer a full service for design, build, and repairs on a wide variety of solutions. That includes power units, certain pumps and motors, etc. We can also support a lot of these systems with available inventory at our local locations and Parker stores. And we do the quick hose assemblies, oftentimes same-day service if we have stock at all our locations. So next, I do have a quick product update. So this is a new line for food and beverage hoses. So we now offer Parker's new Pure line, and the Parker Pure food grade hoses enable a clean and safe transfer for a wide variety of food and beverage and sanitation materials. It's available in a range of constructions, colors, pressures, sizes, and temperature capabilities that may meet your needs. So all of Parker's food grade hoses and food grade tubes meet the government and industry standards, and the hose pipes are suitable for a wide variety of markets. They also offer a full suction capability and kink resistance to extend their usability and enhance cover options for convenient cleaning. So to download the specifications, there's a catalog available at www.zmark.com/pure. So first up, we're going to have Daphne Kai. She'll go over the 4 steps in the best practices for making your hose assemblies. So go ahead, start with step 1. Daphne, it's all yours.
Hi, everyone. This is Daphne. Thank you guys for joining today. So we're going to go through some of the agenda today. We'll start with choosing the right product. So you guys may be familiar with Stamped, but to start, this is how we determine the correct hose and fittings for your application. So Stamped stands for size, temperature, application, media, pressure, ends, and delivery. So those are the metrics that we look at for any system to determine what hose and what fittings apply. So next, it sounds like some of you guys are already familiar with the Parker product. So today we're going to talk about the Global Core line. So these are our constant working pressure hoses. This is what most customers use with our equipment. So the constant working pressure hoses, as you'll see, the different series maintain the same pressure regardless of size. So we offer this from 1,000 PSI to 6,000 PSI. And then the chart on the bottom you'll see shows which fittings pair with our hoses. So our 43 series and our 77 series fittings pair with all of the hose series. So this really reduces your inventory, and you're not having to pair so many different types of hose and fittings and carry a lot of product. So next we'll talk about choosing the right crimper. So we offer some different styles of equipment. So you'll see here we have listed the Carry Crimp 2, and the Par Crimp 2. So I'll kind of touch on the differences between all the equipment. And just keep in mind that, if you do need help, obviously, Juan and I are here too to help assist you to figure out what equipment would be best for your needs. So to start, our Carry Crimp is available in a bench mount or as a portable unit. So this crimps hoses up to 1 1/4, and it crimps steel and brass fittings, but not stainless steel. And it's available with electric or air over hydraulic or a hand pump. Our next crimper is the Carry Crimp 2. So this is also available as a bench mount or a portable unit. It is pretty heavy, but this crimps hoses up to 1 1/4 as well. But the difference here is that it crimps steel, brass, and stainless. And then this is also available with electric, air over hydraulic, or hand pump. Our next offering is the Par Crimp 2. So the difference with this one is that it crimps hoses up to 2 inches. So if you need the larger assembly sizes, this is the unit that you would use. It's available as a floor or bench mount unit, and then this also crimps steel, brass, and stainless steel fittings. So one other crimper that we do offer that was not on the initial slide is our Parker Mini Crimp. So this crimps up to 1-inch hose, and this we typically see customers have maybe on a service vehicle. It's a lot more lightweight and portable. And then this does crimp steel and brass fittings, but it does not crimp stainless steel fittings. So next, we'll talk about the steps on crimping your hose and some best practices. So normally we would do a hands-on training, and so I do want to mention that we can offer that still as well. Just the current times right now, this is our best alternative, but of course, if you guys do request on having a hands-on training, it is the best way to get certified and kind of see the steps. But this will go through essentially everything you need to know. So to start, you want to choose the correct tooling and then make sure you have the correct hose and fittings for your application. So one of the key things that you want to remember when you are starting is that you want to mark your hose. So you'll see in the image the animation that we offer these insertion blocks that you can use. But if you don't have the insertion blocks, you can even use just the fitting. So you'll line up the fitting with the hose, and then you'll mark where the fitting should be inserted, or at what point it should be inserted to. So this is important because there are teeth along the inside of the fittings that crimp into the hose. And the last tooth at the end of the fitting is what has 80% of the holding power. So if you imagine that you're not inserting the hose all the way and you're missing the last tooth, then you're really missing 80% of the holding power, which could cause a failure or a blow off. So this is a really important step. And so this is just one thing that we want to make sure everyone remembers when they start out. So selecting your die and your other tooling. So these charts are usually decals that are available on the equipment. And you'll see here, this helps you choose your correct hose and fitting. So you want to make sure that those pair from the start. And so you'll see in the chart, you'll start on the left column and then go to the right down the row. So for example, if we're in the first row, you have your hose and your fittings, and then you will go based upon what size you're using. So for example, let's say a -8 assembly is what we're making today. One thing I will want to note is that all the dies are color coded. So they are color coded by the sizes. However, if you are carrying different series of hoses that are using different series of fittings, there are different series of dies, and they are still labeled, they are color coded the same per size. So just something to keep in mind if you guys have multiple sets of dies, that you can base it off the color, but you want to make sure that you're still using the correct die for the correct hose and fitting series. And so they are labeled with the part numbers. So just something to keep in mind. So if we're doing a -8 assembly, you'll see there's two numbers in the box that we'll touch on later. Those are specs that we'll want to follow. And then this tells you that you want the blue die, that's the ADC-A08. And then you'll use this chart later to check the specs.
So if you go on to www.zmark.com/crimpsource, you just have to enter some information on like what hose and fitting series you're using. You don't have to enter the sizes, but it does narrow down the options to what die ring and crimper you need if you enter the sizes as well. It's just a really easy way for you to get the die ring that you will need to use for the crimper selected.
So when you're ready to crimp your assembly after you have inserted the hose into the fitting, you'll put the die into the bowl on the crimper, and then you'll insert the assembly from the bottom. So we have this feature on all the dies called the Park Align, and essentially it is a lip that's on the inside of the die that you'll see kind of in the image here. And once you push past the fitting, past that part, it'll catch when you're pulling on it. So this is kind of to ensure that you're really not having to do any guesswork of where to position your assembly. It kind of takes out any sort of error. So once you have that seated on the ridge, then you're ready to crimp your hose. So next, depending on what crimper model you have, you're going to actuate the ram with either a joystick or a button on the crimper. But once you have it seated, you're going to actuate it and then fully extend the ram, and it'll crimp the assembly. So the last step is checking your work. So like I mentioned, the chart has those two values that you want to look at. And we suggest taking a pair of calipers, and you'll want to do measurements around your fitting. So you can do a visual inspection. So typically if something is very wrong, you could probably tell by the ridges on the fitting, they look incorrect, or there's a bulge. Those are kind of the first visual inspections you can do. But when you want to take a pair of calipers and do a couple measurements. So we recommend 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom of the fitting around on the flat edges. And then as long as your values are between those 2 specs, then you know that your crimper or that your hose assembly is in spec. So last, we want to talk about some accessories and some useful links. So as far as accessories, some things that I mentioned, the dies and the insertion blocks. We also offer hose cutoff tools, a fitting push-on stand for larger assemblies. It's a little bit harder to push the hose into the fitting, hose cleaning kits, and die racks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Daphne. And like I said, if anyone has questions about the actual training portion, please let us know. But next, we're going to move into the programs and solution. You can get a crimper at your facility for no charge. And it's pretty simple. You just need to talk to your local ZMARC territory manager, if you know who they are, about placing a stocking order. And if you're not really sure who your territory manager is, you can also reach out to Juan Gerardo, and his contact information will be provided to you in the follow-up email that will be coming out tomorrow with the recording. So with a qualifying stocking order, you can help, our territory managers can help you get a crimper into your facility at no charge. And it does come with a pump, some dies, accessories that you'll need to make your entire hose assembly. Currently, we do have special promotions going on for the aerospace and construction industries. For customers in the aerospace and defense sector, you can get 10% off of your initial stocking order of $10,000 or more for aerospace. And for customers in the construction sector, you can get 5% off of your initial stocking order of $5,000 or more. And you just need to mention this to your territory manager to get that applied to you. So you might also be wondering, what if I already have some competitive inventory? I don't want to waste all of that that's just sitting there. Well, that's not a problem because we do have a stock lift program. So we can help you cross over the inventory you have to the Parker part numbers and then give you product credit for getting rid of your old inventory. So this is called our stock lift program. We'll set you out with the new crimper and the new inventory. And it's also very important to have the right crimper so your hose assemblies are done to spec. So sometimes people use the wrong, like a different brand crimper with different brand hoses, and that just puts a lot of risk on having incompatible hose and fittings that are just out of spec. And that can cause potential issues in the field. So with this program, it gives you a lot of incentives to just switch, get new hoses, fittings, and a crimper that is compatible, reliable, easy to use, and trusted by the industry. So we also have short-term rental programs if the lease program or the stock lift program doesn't fit your need. If you have project-based needs and need something at a temporary location, renting is a good option because there's no stock commitment. And it starts at $250 per week. So you just tell us the sizing, the application, and the essentially other items that are listed under stamped, as Daphne mentioned earlier. Then we will help you select your hose and fittings, the dye and the power supply and the crimper that you need. We will provide a quick on-site training if you need that. And then the delivery can be either a pickup or we can ship all the items to you. We're flexible here, and we're obviously here to support your needs. So just simplify your inventory, or you can provide, or we can provide you with a short-term solution. So just FYI, we do have other products in the fluid connector category. These include things like tube fittings, adapters, quick disconnects. We also have pneumatic tubing and fittings. Like I said earlier, we are here as a ZMark team to support you, so feel free to reach out with your needs today. So I would like to thank Daphne and Juan for assisting with this training. You can reach out to us in different ways. You can email us at sales@zmark.com. We do have some web forms that you can fill out online with your inquiries. You can go to zmark.com/crimper or zmark.com/hose, and those fields provide you with, they ask you for, like, say, what is your application, the size, and the fitting. So then it's just a little bit easier for you to know what information you should provide to us if you want to fill it out that way online. But otherwise, you can feel free to always call us or just email us with your information, and we'll help you out. So let's take some questions. I have 2 questions here. All right, so the first question is, can we get training on site? Short answer is definitely we can do on-site training, as mentioned. Like with the product and equipment that we supply, we usually want to make sure that you know what you that you have what you need. So we want to make sure that your team understands how to use the equipment properly. So as per your request, we'll follow some safety procedures per COVID, and then we'll supply you with the equipment with the training. Okay, I have another one. Here's what's the reason why some of the simpler crimpers aren't compatible with stainless steel fittings?
It's the power that they can combat. So that's why we have the different options. So if you do need to crimp for stainless, you would have to get either the Curie Crimp 2, depending on the size you needed to crimp to, or the hard crimp 2, if you needed to go up to 2 inches.
Okay, the last question we have is, what is the availability of the hose and fittings at the Parker store? So I can answer this one. So most of our global core hoses are in stock. We do have 4 locations. I mean, you didn't really specify which size or fitting type, so it's kind of hard to say what we have in stock. But we have 4 different locations with inventory. So if you have something specific in mind, you can check with us by like emailing, calling. You can even chat with us online or fill out a form online. There's just so many different ways. And if we don't have it in our warehouse, we do have some nearby factory warehouses. Like there's one in Oregon that can drop ship to you if that's something that you need. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. All right. So again, thank you all for coming. Congratulations to our 2 winners. As always, reach out to us if you have any questions. We're here to support you. Have a wonderful day.